Hi everyone! As we know, Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and since it's lockdown and we can't go anywhere for fancy meals, why not cook a fancy meal for your loved ones right at home? Today I'll be showing you a 3-course meal which will include a light butternut squash soup as a starter, salmon and mash served with asparagus and mushroom sauce as a main, and finally a vanilla panna cotta served with strawberry sauce. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to start by making our delicious creamy vanilla panna cotta, which only takes 5 minutes to make, but it takes 6 hours to set, so I recommend doing it the night before. For this recipe, you're going to need either vanilla essence or vanilla bean paste. I'm using the paste just because I like the black speckles. Then you're going to need a 1/4 cup of water, 1/3 cup of sugar, 1 cup of milk, 3 teaspoons or 7 grams of gelatin powder, and finally 300 ml of whipping cream. Simply begin by pouring the 1/4 cup of water into a separate bowl, and then sprinkle the gelatin powder on the top and leave that to bloom, as you can see here, which should only take 1 to 2 minutes. Now set that aside. Now in a saucepan, pour in the milk and the sugar and heat the mixture on low heat until the sugar is dissolved. Once the sugar is dissolved, go ahead and add in the gelatin and give it a good mix until the gelatin is completely dissolved. Remember guys, this happens really quickly and you don't want to overheat the milk. So once that's done, just take it off the hob. Now you're just going to add your remaining ingredients. So that's a teaspoon of vanilla essence or vanilla bean paste, and then your 300 ml of cream, and just whisk that in thoroughly. And that's it guys, your panna cotta mix is done, as simple as that. Now you're just going to pour it into some cups. Remember guys, if you're going to serve the panna cotta in the traditional way, make sure you grease the cups with a bit of oil beforehand. But if you're just serving it in a cup, then don't worry about this step. Now just let this to set for about 6 hours or leave it overnight like I usually do. Now time for our homemade strawberry sauce. All you need is 3 ingredients. 227 grams of strawberries, a 1/4 cup of sugar, and teaspoon of vanilla essence. That's it guys, how simpler can it get? Begin by dicing the strawberry into small chunks. Then in a saucepan, go ahead and add in the strawberries and the sugar, then a teaspoon of vanilla essence. And let this to simmer for about 10 minutes. And very quickly you'll notice the strawberries releasing water and forming into a sauce. Once the strawberries are really soft, go ahead and transfer this into a blender and give it a good blend until it's smooth. And that's it guys, your strawberry sauce is ready. Now if you don't like the seeds in the sauce, go ahead and filter the seeds out. And then simply transfer this into an airtight container. And you can store this in the fridge for about 2 weeks. Once the panna cotta is set, just simply add in the strawberry sauce on top with some nuts, and there you go. Our creamy, delicious panna cotta is ready to be served and enjoyed. I actually flipped the panna cotta to test it out, and there you go. That's the jiggle. Can you see it? That's the panna cotta. That was such an exciting moment. There you go guys, that's it. Simple as that. Now let's make our light, simple and quick butternut squash soup. For this recipe, all you will need is coconut milk for garnish, this is optional, 2 large white onions that are sliced, a handful of coriander, 2 vegetable stock cubes, 5 to 6 cups of water depending on how thick you like your soup, and finally our key ingredient, a large butternut squash diced into cubes. In a large pan or wok, heat up 2 tablespoons of oil on medium flame. Then add the onions and a teaspoon of salt and give it a good mix and cook it till it becomes translucent and caramelized. If you need to deglaze the pan, go ahead and add 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, and this should help caramelize the onions. Let's add the rest of the ingredients. That's the butternut squash, 6 cups of water if you like your soup a bit more runny, or 5 cups if you like it thicker. Then 2 vegetable stock cubes, a teaspoon of turmeric powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 to 2 teaspoons of chili flakes depending on how spicy you like your soup, then 1 teaspoon of pepper. Now give that a good mix, and finally a handful of coriander. Give that a good mix and cook it for about 15 minutes or so until the butternut squash is softened. After 15 minutes, give it a check and then add in salt if you need to. Then transfer it into a blender and just blend it. And there you go guys, our delicious soup is ready. If you want the soup to be extra creamy, you can add half a cup of cream or milk or coconut milk, up to you. But I personally prefer the taste as it is, so I'm just going to leave it like this. But if you are going to add in any form of milk, make sure you simmer it for about 5 minutes before serving. And that's it guys, our delicious soup is ready to be enjoyed. And serve this with sliced toasted baguettes. Oh my god, perfect. Now for our delicious main course. Crispy salmon served with mashed asparagus and mushroom sauce. Perfect. For this recipe, you will need 1/3 cup of plain flour, 1/3 cup of golden breadcrumbs. You can use any breadcrumbs you like. 2 boneless salmon fillets, 1 egg, 150 grams or 250 grams of mushrooms minced, 1 lemon for garnish, 1 onion thinly diced, 4 large potatoes cut into cubes, and finally 125 grams of asparagus tips. Or alternatively, you can also use green beans if you like. Now let's begin by making the fish marinade. In a bowl, add in 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of turmeric powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of chili flakes, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Now give that a good mix and that's your marinade done. Now let's prepare our salmon fillets. Wash the fillets and remove the skin at the back. Then add the fish marinade and coat the fish very well. And then set that aside. Now let's prepare our crispy coating for the salmon. Crack open 1 egg and give it a good whisk. And let's set that aside. Then to the plain flour, add in a teaspoon of pepper and 1 teaspoon of dried coriander and give that a good mix. And finally, to our golden breadcrumbs, go ahead and add in 1 teaspoon of dried coriander and give that a good mix. Now our salmon is ready to be assembled. With one hand, grab the marinated salmon and dip it into the flour, coating it generously. Then add it into the egg mixture and coat it well again. And finally, drop it into the breadcrumb mixture and then use your other hand to fully coat the salmon with the breadcrumbs. And finally, place it onto a baking tray lined with foil. Now repeat the process with the second fillet and then set it aside. Now let's make a marinade for the asparagus. In a bowl, add in 1 tablespoon of oil, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of salt or salt to taste, and a teaspoon of pepper. And give that a good mix. and that's your marinade done. Now go ahead and place the asparagus tips onto the baking tray with the salmon, and simply brush the marinade that we just made onto the asparagus tips. Remember to use as much as you need. I used only half of the mix. Now bake this in the oven for about 15 minutes or so on gas mark 5 or 375 Fahrenheit. This will depend on your oven. By the way guys, please remember to keep an eye on the asparagus as they can overcook very quickly. So I recommend giving them a check just after 10 minutes or so. Now for our mash. In a large pan, just put in the potatoes and a teaspoon of salt and some boiling water, and simmer these for about 10 to 15 minutes until the potato has completely softened. After 15 minutes, give it a check and make sure the potatoes are mashable. When it's ready, just drain the potatoes out using a colander and return it to the pan, and then just mash the potatoes up until it's completely all mashed. And remember guys, keep the hob switched off. Once the potatoes are all mashed, simply go ahead and add all the seasoning. We need 1 teaspoon of ground coarse pepper, 1 teaspoon of salt, a pinch of chili flakes, 1/3 cup of milk, 2 tablespoons of butter, and give that all a really good mix. If you need additional milk, go ahead and add it to make sure it's extra creamy, so I've just added another 1/3 cup of milk. Once you've reached your desired consistency, go ahead and add in salt if you need it. When I checked mine, I felt like I needed a bit more seasoning, so I've just went ahead and added a teaspoon of garlic powder and a pinch of pepper, and then I gave that a good mix, and that's it guys, your wonderful creamy delicious mash is ready. Now set that aside guys. By now your salmon fillets and the asparagus should be ready too, so set that aside as well. Now for a quick and easy mushroom sauce. In a non-stick pan, add in a tablespoon of olive oil and heat it up on medium flame. Then add the onions and a teaspoon of salt. Give it a good mix and then cook it till it becomes translucent. If you need to deglaze the pan, go ahead and add 2 to 3 tablespoons of water, and this should help caramelize the onions. After about 5 minutes, go ahead and add in your minced mushrooms and cook it for about a few minutes or so until the mushroom has shrinked. Then add the seasoning. We need 1 vegetable stock cube and a 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric powder. Give that a good mix and cook for a further 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, just add in 2 tablespoons of plain flour. This will help to thicken the sauce up. Just cook this for about 2 minutes until the raw flour smell goes away. And then just add in 1 cup water. And now guys, just simply transfer it into a blender and blend it until it's a smooth sauce. Once it's smooth, just return it to the pan and add in water if you need to make sure you've reached the consistency you prefer. And if you think you need a bit of salt or pepper, go ahead and add that now. Cook it for about a few minutes. And then that's it guys, that's your sauce ready to go. Oh, now the exciting part guys, ready to assemble our wonderful main course. I've attempted to arrange the asparagus into a heart shape and then put in a bit of mash and then layer that with a bit of salmon, and then go ahead and drizzle it with the sauce and then just top it off with a slice of lemon. And now time for a taste test. Drizzle the lemon and then cut into the fillet. Oh my god, look how crispy and beautiful the flakes are. Oh, it's so delicious. I hope you guys try this. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Feel free to try any of the recipes I've just mentioned today. and let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you guys. As always, I've listed the recipe just below. If you like what you see, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you again.